I'm going to go over an exercise called the slouchy hinge. Hinge means to bend over at the waist. Now, the idea behind it being slouchy is that too often people are always constantly engaged in their lower back with this idea of thinking that good posture means to be upright. And sometimes what we need to do is actually relax the lower back and teach our legs how to work. More commonly than not, people are just constantly lifting via their backs, and so we want to break that pattern and utilize this instead. So what you're going to do, you're going to adopt a split stance where this back leg is very close. So I don't want you back here. I want you to bring your back leg in line with your front heel. Now you don't have to be on a tightrope like so, but from a backward standpoint, we want that back leg to be close. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about nose over toes. So I'm leaning forward, not leaning forward with just my head, but when I bring my body forward, so if my hand was on a nose and my other finger was on my belly button, both hands would come forward in space so that I'm engaged my calf because my body weight is all on the ball of the foot. So I always want to stay in this front of this foot now. Now I'm going to relax my chest down and I'm going to reach down to the floor, keeping the weight in the front part of my foot. Now I'm going to push through the front of my foot like I'm squashing an orange. And I'm going to think about my hip coming forward over my foot, like so. Okay, so I'll show that again. So I'm always staying forward. I don't want to think about my body deviating back. I want to stay forward like I'm challenging all the way in the front of my foot. I could even at the very bottom, imagine someone's pulling me by the head and I'm going to come even more forward so that I'm not on my heel right now. I'm going to push through my foot and my hip is going to bring itself over my leg. Now, you'll notice I'm staying in a relatively slouchy position where I'm not coming up and lifting my nipples up to the sky. If I lifted one of my nipples, then basically it's my lower back that's working, and I don't want that. So oftentimes what will happen is that someone goes down, they'll go ahead and they're going to, as they stand up, their knee straightens out, and now they lift with their lower back. So we don't want to let the knee go back at all during this exercise. On the way down or the way up, it's always staying forward. So if I go down here, I don't want that happening, or I don't want snap and go. So that's one common mistake. The other common mistake that happens here is as I go down, I allow my knee to bend. So here's where it's correct. So again, I'm forward in space. Back foot is light. I'm the wide receiver of the line that's ready to run as opposed to being back here. So if I bend my knee over here, I'm not in an athletic stance at all. So I want to bend my knee and bring my body weight forward and reach down to the floor. So that's correct. What would be incorrect about that is that if I go down, the purpose of the activity is that our knee doesn't bend here. So as I go down, I don't want to see bending to get towards the floor. So I don't care if you can't touch the floor. Usually, if you can't touch the floor, all that means is that your body's going back in space. Because most people, if they stay forward enough, they'll be able to bend down and get length from the back side chain. But if they start going back, they're going to be limited by their hamstrings. The more forward you stay. However, what I was saying before is that I don't want to propose here. I don't want to bend at my knee. That's a separate exercise called the slouchy split squat. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but for the purpose of this activity, we're aiming to load the back side of the hip. So as I go down, I'm forward. I don't let my knee bend. I don't let it move at all, to be honest, and I'm just forward in the foot. I reach down, super relaxed. I can even tuck my chin down. Now, I don't want to lead with my head on the way up. I want to keep my eyes down, arms relaxed, and my hip extends forward, like the pelvis scoops forward or humps forward to the front of the room without my chest popping up. So I just stop right here. So I want to make sure that my hip finishes all the way forward. I don't stop here because that wouldn't be the way I would walk. I would bring it forward all the way, okay? One thing that you could do to make sure that you're actually doing this correctly is to go down towards the floor with both hands and then take one hand and place it on your bum. Again, remember that I'm forward in the front of my foot. All 5 toe knuckles are weighted. And I'm going to take this bum and I'm going to bring it forward so that my hip comes through and my body comes up as a result of my hip coming forward. Oftentimes people want to go forward in space and so they feel like they're about to fall over because they're going forward with the head. But if the hip comes forward, then their body is going to be more aligned. So we just want to make sure. So if you go down over here and you just go down there and then take your hand on your hip to bring it forward, you'll understand that the motion is happening of the hips translating forward in space. As I go here, I don't want my knee to shoot forward now. Again, we were talking about that frozen knee in space. So we just go down, place a hand on the hip, and we bring it forward, forward, forward. So once you get comfortable with that, you won't need that anymore.